Billionaire fired his maid for checking the fridge, but the truth made him cry. What if the person you judged the harshest was the only one who truly saw you? Imagine a man who had everything: private jets, towering skyscrapers, and more money than most countries, but lived every day like he had nothing. Then one ordinary Tuesday, he destroyed the one quiet light in his cold mansion with a single, furious decision. This is the story of Alexander Grant, and the maid whose simple act of kindness nearly cost her everything, and eventually saved him. If you love stories that remind you what really matters, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now. We share real-hearted tales every week here at Corner of Kind Choices. If this story moves you, drop a like and tell us in the comments, when was the last time a small act of kindness changed your day? Let's spread more good in the world together. Alexander Grant stood at the top of the world, or so everyone said. At 48, he had built a tech empire from a dorm room idea into a billion-dollar company. His sleek glass mansion outside Seattle overlooked the Puget Sound, but the view rarely touched him. He worked 18-hour days, ate when he remembered, and trusted no one. His staff came and went like shadows. Most lasted only a few months before his sharp temper sent them packing. The latest was Maria Lopez, a 52-year-old widow from Mexico who had come to America 20 years earlier with nothing but hope and a young daughter. Maria moved quietly through the mansion, polishing marble that never stayed dusty and cooking meals that often went untouched. She never complained. Not when Mr. Grant barked orders at 11 p.m. Not when he left half-eaten plates on his desk for her to find at dawn. She simply did her work with steady hands and a soft smile that seemed out of place in such a lonely house. One rainy Tuesday evening, Alexander came home early from a brutal board meeting. His latest deal had fallen through, and the market was punishing him publicly. He wanted silence and a drink. Instead, he walked into the kitchen and froze. There was Maria, standing in front of the open refrigerator, carefully moving containers around. She held a small plastic bag in one hand. To Alexander, in his foul mood, it looked like theft. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" His voice cracked like thunder through the kitchen. Maria startled, nearly dropping the bag. "Mr. Grant, I was just stealing my food now? After everything? You're fired. Get out. I'll have security escort you if you're not gone in 10 minutes. Her face went pale. She tried to speak, but he turned away, already dialing his assistant. "And leave the keys on the counter." Maria's shoulders trembled as she gathered her few belongings. She placed the house keys gently on the marble island, took one last look at the spotless kitchen she had cared for like her own, and walked out into the pouring rain without another word. Alexander poured himself a scotch and sat in the dark living room. For a moment, something like guilt flickered, but he pushed it down. "Everyone wants something from me," he told himself. Everyone. The next morning, the house felt heavier. No soft humming from the laundry room. No fresh coffee waiting. He told himself he didn't care. He had work. He always had work. But by afternoon, his body reminded him how much he had come to rely on Maria's quiet routines. He opened the fridge for the first time in months and stopped cold. The shelves looked different. Instead of the usual takeout boxes and protein shakes, there were neatly labeled glass containers. Chicken soup with vegetables. Grilled salmon with quinoa. Fresh fruit cut and stored in small portions. A handwritten note was taped to one container, "For when you forget to eat, Mr. Grant. Take care of your heart. Maria." His hands shook as he read it. He called his assistant. "Get Maria back here. Now." The assistant's voice was hesitant. "Sir, she's gone. And there's something you should see." What came next shattered everything Alexander thought he knew. His assistant forwarded security footage from the past several weeks. Night after night, after finishing her long shifts, Maria hadn't been stealing. She had been adding. She brought food from her own small apartment meals she cooked after putting her daughter to bed. She replaced his old, expired containers with fresh, healthy ones. She had even started tracking his schedule to make sure there was always something ready when he finally dragged himself home. But the deepest cut came from a quiet conversation caught on camera 2 nights earlier. Maria had been on the phone with her daughter while organizing the fridge. Mija. Mr. Grant works too hard. He looks so tired. Remember how your papa used to forget to eat when he was stressed? I just want to make sure he doesn't get sick like papa did. No, we don't tell him. He's a proud man. We just help quietly. Tears stung Alexander's eyes for the first time in years. He learned more. Maria's daughter, Sophia, had been battling leukemia for the past year. Medical bills had wiped out their savings. Maria worked 2 jobs, yet still found time and money to care for the man who paid her because she saw in him the same loneliness and exhaustion she once saw in her late husband. Alexander cancelled every meeting that day. He drove himself, something he hadn't done in years, to the modest apartment complex where Maria lived. Rain still fell in sheets as he climbed the stairs and knocked on the door. Maria opened it, eyes wide with surprise. Sophia, pale but smiling, peeked from behind her mother. I was wrong, Alexander said, his voice breaking. I was so wrong. I thought the world was trying to take from me, and all this time, you were giving. Without asking for anything. He handed her an envelope. Inside was not just her job back with triple the pay, but full coverage for Sophia's remaining medical treatments and a college fund for the girl. Maria's hands flew to her mouth. Mr. Grant, I didn't do it for this. I know, he whispered. That's why it matters. For the first time in decades, Alexander Grant sat at a kitchen table, not his cold marble island, but a small, warm one covered with a plastic tablecloth. He ate the homemade pozole Maria served him while Sophia told him jokes that made him laugh until his sides hurt. That evening, as he drove home, the mansion lights looked less intimidating. He made a call to his company's HR director. We're starting a new program. Paid family leave. Better wages for support staff. And I want every executive to spend 1 day a month working alongside the people who keep our offices running. Word of the change spread quietly at first, then louder. Employees who had feared Alexander began to see a different man, one who asked about their families, remembered birthdays, and stayed late not to work, but to listen. Months later, at the company's annual gala, Alexander took the stage. The usually polished billionaire's voice cracked with emotion as he shared Maria's story. I spent years building walls so high that kindness couldn't reach me, he told the crowd. Until one woman, who had every reason to be bitter, chose compassion instead. She reminded me that real success isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in how many people we lift up when we could have looked away. He gestured to Maria and Sophia sitting in the front row. The audience rose in a standing ovation. Today, Alexander Grant still runs his company, but he runs it differently. The mansion is warmer. Laughter echoes in its halls because Maria and Sophia now live in the guest house and are family. And every single night, before he goes to bed, Alexander opens the refrigerator. He sees the fresh containers, the handwritten notes, and he remembers. Kindness isn't loud. It doesn't always wear fancy clothes or come from people who look important. Sometimes it wears an apron and moves quietly through your kitchen at night, giving more than it will ever receive. So the next time you're tempted to judge someone quickly, your neighbor, the person who works for you, the stranger who seems a little off, pause. Look deeper. You might just find the person who saves you, if only you let them. Be the kindness the world is quietly hoping for. Start today. One small, unnoticed act at a time. Because you never know whose life you're about to change forever, including your own. Word count, 1298.